Logic just released his most recent album, or his newest album, his debut independent album called College Park. And I think this one's really interesting. It kind of just goes over his whole college career and stuff like that. And I think this is a pretty solid album. It doesn't really take as much from like Vinyl Days, even though it is kind of still in that same structure. But it just has a nice kind of narrative of his whole like career. Like, I mean, not really narrative, but it shows like the a whole day when he was, performing at his like first big concert of 150 people. And let's just go track by track, and I can tell you some more thoughts. Cruising Through the Universe, I think the production's kind of interesting, but I hate the changes in the pitch from Logic, where it goes from high to low to normal. I like the rapping from RZA, and I think he put in a solid performance. This song just kind of seems short and doesn't really have much substance for his performance. Wake Up, I don't really like the chorus, but I feel like Logic puts in a solid performance on his first verse. There are some really weird sound effects in the background that sound similar to Seabat. I think the song is pretty good, but it could easily be kind of made into a better song with just some better sound effects. Lightsabers, his flow gets a little bit too spiritual, lyrical rapper type thing, like Eminem at parts in his verse. The chorus on the first one on the song is cool, but it's really nothing special. The beat switch is kind of random, and I wish it was kind of more slick and kind of fit together better. I like Logic's flow on the second part of the song. The bridge is a little repetitive, and I just don't like how multiple times in the song he repeats a phrase multiple times in a row. I actually like the building production. I think C. Castro spits a very solid verse. Clone Wars 3, I really like the production on this song. I feel like Logic's flow works really well on this track. The production on this track is so vibey, and Logic sounds perfect on a beat like this where he can spit a solid verse with some great production and an old school vibe. I hate the skip part where they have that girl and she has just the worst voice. I know it's not actually a girl, it's like a guy trying to do a girl voice, but it sucks. Red Pill 7, I love the Aphex Twin sample. I think it sounds pretty good on the song. I don't really like Logic's flow on the song, but it works well in certain parts now. I think that Logic spits some good bars during a lot of the song, but at certain parts, the beat doesn't do enough to keep up with Logic and complement him. I think he just raps a little bit too fast, but other times he sounds great. Playwright, the beat is really cool and chilled out. I actually really like the Andy Hill inclusion on the song, as his vocals really match Logic's and sound perfect as a compliment. I just think the song is just a little bit too short and kind of has very little substance, and then goes directly to a skit. Gaithersburg Freestyle, I feel like Logic vocals are mixed a bit weird, but I really like the energy he comes into the song with and how the beat kind of just matches his vocals. C. Castro sounds really good for most of his verse, but I don't really like the end of it. Big Lenbo is okay, but doesn't really add much to the track. I really like Fat Trails and Aids as verses, as the beat just kind of allows each of them to have a really solid verse on the song. Inspio, don't really like Logic's flow on this song. The beat just doesn't work for me. Logic's inflection on some of the bars doesn't sound good, but I do like the switch into the outro of the song. It sounds kind of beautiful with the saxophone in the back. Self-Medication, like the production on this song. I think that Logic's flow on this song works really well and sounds great. Really like Redman's verse. I feel like he's a really solid addition to the track. Seth MacFarlane actually sounds great on this song and is such a good inclusion on the track. The outro skit is a little cringe, but is okay. Shimmy, I really like Logic's flow on the beginning of the first verse. And thinks he really sounds good on the verse. Joey Badass's inclusion on the song. It's also solid. I feel like he spits a solid verse and works as a good compliment to Logic on the song. Paradise 2, the beat is okay, but I don't really like how they strip it down and just let Logic flow over it. Kind of sounds a little weird. I do like the Nora Jones background vocals, as they sound kind of similar to a soul sample in the background of the song. The skit is a little long, but it's kind of interesting. Come On Down, really like the production. Think it sounds good during the intro, but the 808s make it sound a little cheap. The outro sounds great with little Kiki just sounding great with his voice suiting that production well. Village Slum, love the sample because I love the song they sampled as well. The production works well, and I feel like Logic sounds pretty good over the beat. This song, again, kind of lacks substance and is a little too short for me. High Life, really love the transition from that skit in the previous song to this song. I just don't think this song fits really well with the rest of everything. It's kind of like an indie surf rock song packaged into hip-hop. Like, he takes that indie surf rock vibe and puts it into hip-hop. Wish he used someone else's vocals for the vocals on the chorus, because I just feel like he doesn't work well on the vocals. 38 degrees north, 76 degrees west. I don't really like Logic's flow on the song. The beat kind of better fits C. Castro. He actually flows really well over the song. I like the piano in the background of the song. Hate Big Lenbo's verse on the song, as I just don't like his voice that much. But it's good because he only has a short part on the song. The chorus is pretty solid, even though it is repetitive. Ayo got another really solid transition from the last one to this one. Don't really like Logic's vocals and inflection on this song. This is another song that I don't really feel like fits on the album as well. The production is pretty similar to the rest. Logic's vocals are way different. Don't fit this song. Bun beat just sounds great on the verses. I just love the deep voice. It kind of sounds like Busta Rhymes' voice. The Pimp C inclusion also pretty great as well. Getting UGK on the track with both of them is just great. Lightyear, love the sample on the first part of the song and how the production changed up a bit. Love the rigor mortis sample by Logic and it switched to a whole nother beat. The song is actually great with the samples and the beat switches. I really like the outro and how it ends on kind of a nostalgic note, kind of like a movie. And it just works perfectly with Logic's voice and the guitar beat, kind of sounding like the ending to a high school movie where they show where everyone ended after the movie ended. Kind of like where, yeah, they just are super nostalgic and show how everyone ended up after the movie. I think this album is pretty interesting. I mean, I really like what Logic did on this, as because he's independent, he got to put basically all his friends from like college, and I don't know if it's college, but like 2011 when he was doing all these mixtapes and stuff, like he got to put all his friends on these tracks and he got to actually have them be a part of it, and also just having a lot of, you know, pretty cool features to me. Like you've got the RZA feature, you got the Bun B feature, Joey Badass, and yeah, just like I said, all his friends, they're all great additions. Also, just putting Seth MacFarlane on this album is such a troll to me. One thing I don't really like is that some of the songs feel short and then they have a super long skit after. I don't know really what he would have done, because if you split the skits up, this would have been like a 30-track album, and in my opinion would have kind of ruined it. But at the same time, these songs might not be played as much just because there is a big skit at the end. I don't really know. Do think, yeah, just a lot of these inclusions of the skits do work, but I feel like as a narrative, it kind of takes a little bit too much over the actual tracks themselves, as I feel like there isn't that much of the narrative there. But I don't know. It's fine in my opinion. And just overall, I think, yeah, the narrative takes a little bit too much over the actual sound of the album. But I really like how he ends it with, yeah, that kind of nostalgic high school ending theme with the guitar sounding beat. And I think this album is pretty solid. He does have pretty good flows over the entire thing, and he has some solid production as well. So overall, I think this is a 6 out of 10 album. There's really nothing amazing on this, as I feel like a lot of it kind of takes a back seat to the narrative and just the features on this album, because it's just kind of short in what he puts in. But I still feel like it does really, represent his come up, and it was a pretty cool album itself.